How about you? I'm Hank. Welcome to Hamiltonville Farm. Today we're comparing the Mahindra 4540 and the Kioti CK4010. Welcome to Hamiltonville Farm. If this is your first time here, I want to say thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. Our channel is all about tractors and tractor implements, homesteading type equipment maintenance, those kind of things that we have on our channel. We think you'd really like the content. And if you do, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We would really appreciate it. Become part of our community. And you know, you always take away something from watching our videos, whether you're learning about tractors or tractor maintenance or homesteading. We think you'll get something out of every video that we make, and you'll be entertained. That's that's a good part about it too. And so in today's video, we're going to talk about the differences between two very different 40 horsepower tractors, the Kioti CK4010 and the Mahindra 4540. By the end of the video, you'll be able to understand these differences and what they may mean to you. All right, Randall, so tell me kind of a general overview about your Kioti.
Sure. This is a 2016 Kioti CK4010 HST tractor. It's the base model tractor. This tractor, produces 39.6 horsepower out of the engine with 33.5 PTO horsepower. It produces that horsepower out of a 111 cubic inch 3-cylinder engine.
Okay. Yeah, so when you compare that to the Mahindra 4540, same thing, is a base level, entry level model, kind of a gear driven model, right? And so we've got 41 horsepower out of the engine horsepower, but we produce that on a 166 cubic inch 4-cylinder engine. It's got the MCRD design on it with no DPF, and it also has 31 horsepower out of the PTO. So we're losing 10 horsepower where you're only losing 5 horsepower based on the power transfer from the out of the PTO. And again, we're the standard 540 PTO RPMs.
Yep, same thing here, 540 PTO. My tractor does have an option for a 2000 RPM mid-mount PTO for a mid-mount motor as well.
Oh yeah, that's nice, because we don't have that option on the Mahindra 4540. No. As you talk about the comparisons and the different specs of this thing, the weight plays a big factor in kind of how the frame is built and all that stuff. So how much does the Kioti weigh?
So the tractor itself weighs about 2,700 pounds, like 2,735 or something like that. And then, of course, you've got to add to that the loader weight.
Sure.
So it's going to be 840 pounds or so for a total weight of 3,540 pounds or so.
Yeah, yeah. They taught me to count in North Carolina: 1, 2, Earnhardt, 4. So I'm not good at public math, right? But for the 4540, it weighs in at 5,100 pounds. I'm sorry, about 5,200 pounds, 5,192-ish, somewhere around in there when you roll it off the lot at the dealer. And you're going to have about a 1,500 pound loader attached to it for a total weight of about 6,750, somewhere around in there. Where this comes into play, though, is like, what kind of trailer am I going to use to tote this thing around town with? What kind of vehicle am I going to tow it with as well? And not only does it have to worry about like trailer capacities and things like that as you're transporting the tractor, but that weight associated with the tractor and the loader also plays a part in how the frame is built. So let's go into some of the frame and chassis considerations. A lot of information so far that's really applicable to decision making and things like that. If you like these kind of videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because you'll see a ton of videos like this on our channel. Some other things we're going to look at is the height and the width and the wheelbase and stuff like that. Now we know what the spec sheet says. The spec sheet for Mahindra says that it's about a 92-inch height on this tractor. What's Kioti say?
So Kioti actually says that the CK4010 is 99 inches high for the ROPS.
Okay, so these are things to consider while you're pulling into a garage or storage facilities, how you're going to store your tractor. Let's see what it's really like on kind of, not on a concrete pad, not with ag tires. We both have industrial tires. So let's check out the real world height of these tractors. All right, Gina, here we go. Gina's about 4'3".
I'm 5'1", thank you.
All right, so
proud of it.
Proud of it. Okay, so we're at 90. Let's call it 91 and a half. Maybe 92. 92 inches. So in accordance with the spec sheet online. All right. So that's to it, Gina. And then we'll look over here on the ROPS for the And we're looking at probably 90.
Yeah, looking at 90.
About 90. Can you see that, Gina? So we're looking at about 90 inches there on a calibrated eye. And so, you know, again, some different considerations when the manufacturers are putting their specs on. I mean, we're doing this in a grass field, you know, with different tire pressures and different types of tires and all that stuff. You know, we were talking about earlier in the video about the differences that the frame makes or whatever, and loading it onto trailers and stuff. Well, something else that matters is the width of the tractor. So let's see how wide the 4540 is. From outside the back tire to outside the back tire, let's call it 82 inches, but 81 3/4, 82 inches, somewhere around in there. So if your trailer is not 84 inches wide, then, you know, you may have to invest in a bigger trailer.
No, Hank, to the outside. So looks like that we're going to call it maybe 62.5 or so. And that's actually wider than the Kioti published specs. The published specs on this tractor shows that it's actually 55 inches, but the 55 inches are going to be, all of the published specs are going to be based on ag tires. So that's the difference there. So you will see differences. It's kind of hard to get a good idea of your exact tractor.
Yeah. So
you've always got to pay attention to how they're spec'd out in the publication.
Yeah, of course. So, you know, now we know how tall the ROPS are, but of course ROPS fold down, right? And you can see the wheelbase width, or the width of the tractor. Let's see how the wheelbases are different from the Kioti to the Mahindra.
So what we want to do is we want to make sure to measure the center of the hub to the center of the hub to get that length. So it looks like that we're going to show about maybe 67 inches or so here. So that's going to be the spec for us. The Kioti wheelbase spec is actually 65.7. So again, we're seeing a little variation between what the actual published specs are and what we're seeing real world.
Yeah, sure. And but you know, some of the close measurements they're using precision equipment, and we're not.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
True.
And
you mean calibrated eye doesn't count?
The calibrated eye don't count, right? So that's the wheelbase for the Kioti. Let's measure the wheelbase for the 4540 and see what she comes out to be. All right. You got it?
Got it.
All right, we're looking at about 78 and a half inches on the wheelbase of the Mahindra 4540. So just slightly longer on the wheelbase and slightly wider as well. What about the size of your tire on this Kioti tractor?
So whenever I'm looking at tractors, the first thing that I do to compare sizes are going to be tires. So my tires are 15 by 19 and a half.
Are they filled?
They are filled with water, yep, and they are the R4 industrial tires, as you can see.
Yeah, so I've got mine filled with water too. We were talking about this earlier about, you know, we're in Florida, so we don't have to worry about our tires freezing or anything like that. But the Mahindra 4540 comes with a 16.9 by 24 tire, and I've got the industrial tires on mine as well. Now, can you get optional ag tires?
Yep. So Kioti offered all three sizes: the R1 ag
Sure.
tires, the R4 industrial tires, as well as the turf tires.
Okay, good.
So,
yeah, same thing. I don't know, and if you tell me in the comments if you know this or not. I don't know if you can get turf tires on a Mahindra 4540. I know you can get the ag tires for them, but I'm not sure if you can get turf tires. So if you know the answer to that, put it in the comments below. All right, a lot of numbers to consider while you're watching this video, right? But we got a couple more to throw at you. So let's talk about the fuel capacities in the tractors themselves. So how much fuel do you have in yours?
Yeah, so my smaller...
Not how much fuel you have in it, because you might be empty.
Yeah, that's it. My smaller tractor has a 9-gallon capacity.
And you also put the Kioti set their tank on the back of that. Do you like that?
It does make it harder to fill, especially when you've got an implement on, something like that. So it is more difficult, I would say.
I'm a big fan of the underneath the step fuel tank. You know,
nice.
So the 9.5 gallon Kioti is on his tractor. Now on my 4540, I've got just a little over 13 gallons. It's an almost 14 gallon tank, and mine again is on the top where you have to feed it on top of the engine, which is you know, kind of old-fashioned, I guess you'd say. And if you're 65, 70 years old and you're trying to lug 5 gallons of fuel up into that bad boy, those things get heavy after a while.
SureCan does help.
SureCan does help. That's the truth. So as you put fuel in this thing, now you're ready to operate. On the Mahindra 4540, I can reach top speeds of about 17 miles an hour. I've got gear drive, right? I've got a low and a high range. So I've got 2 ranges, and I've got 8 forward gears and 2 reverse gears. That'll give me about 17 miles an hour. Never hit that speed in mine before. Jar your teeth out, especially around this bumpy terrain. So what's the Kioti throttling down the quarter-mile speedway here at?
Yep, so this guy actually goes faster in reverse than it does in forward.
Sure.
It's like 15.8 in reverse and 15.5 in forward.
Yeah.
But it's a 3-range hydrostat, so infinitely variable speed.
Yeah.
So it's a 3-speed. So Hank, we've talked about the back of the tractor. So what about the loader? What kind of capacity does your loader have?
All right, so the Mahindra 4540 comes with a 4550-L loader, and the lifting capacity is not quite 2,900 pounds. 2865 is what they say in the literature, with about a loader lift height of 116 inches, somewhere around in there. And they're going to dump it out about 88.5 inches, give or take, a couple inches. And then the reach on this thing is 27.5 inches for your loader and your bucket.
That's awesome. So that's how far you go into whatever you're going to dump into,
correct.
like a dump bed or dump.
That's
trailer.
correct. Yeah.
That's awesome. So my Kioti, it's a magical numbering system, a KL4010 loader on the CK4010 tractor. So it has a loader lift capacity of about 1,800 pounds. So pretty decent sized loader for the tractor that it
Sure
is.
it is.
It's got a loader lift height of 98.4 inches. The dump height, so it dumps obviously because it's a little smaller tractor, dumps a little lower, 79 inches. And then the reach is about the same as yours. It's right at 27 inches as well.
Now, does it? What does the literature say about the breakout force on the loader?
So yeah, so the breakout force, which is how much pressure that it applies to the dirt when you're going into a pile, is about 3,500 pounds or 3,500 psi.
Yeah. So Mahindra, when they spec out their tractor, they're going to put it at a little over 4,900 pounds, right? At not quite 5,000 pounds as far as breakout force. But again, that weight. You got a lot of rear end pushing it, you know what I mean? So a lot of stuff, man. This has been a really good video so far. There has been a lot of, but it's been entertaining, So let's figure out how much more we got to do as far as number wise in the comparison portion of it, and let's get those numbers out so people can still understand the differences between the Kioti and the Mahindra.
We've talked about the differences for most of the tractor. The one thing that we've not hit on is the business end of the tractor, the 3-point hitch. So Hank, what kind of 3-point hitch lift capacity does yours have?
So the Mahindra 4540 says it's got over 3,500 pounds of lifting capacity in the back. 3,527, I think it is, somewhere around in there, which means that I am able to pull 6-foot implements easy. Probably can get away with 7-foot, maybe even an 8-foot if it's simple terrain, not putting a lot of strain on the tractor itself. But my implements I have are 6 foot wide. Not sure I would go with a 7-foot implement that required a lot of PTO horsepower.
That makes sense. So my Kioti CK4010, its lifting capacity at the rear is actually 1,631 pounds. So it's actually less than the front end loader, which is odd, I feel like.
Yeah.
And my tractor is set up to pull 5-foot implements. The manual actually says that it's set to 66 inches.
Sure.
But that's an odd number. You don't see 66 inch
right.
implements. So
yeah.
You'd really kind of stay in the 5-foot range. However, I have seen videos where other folks have actually pulled a 12-foot rotary cover,
oh, wow,
a 12-foot bat wing.
Yeah.
But of course, that's flat land, no effort.
Yeah. So you make a good point with that, because I think you mentioned this in a previous video that we were in, is when you were looking for your tractor, you wanted the lifting capacity in the front, because you could care less if it lifted 7,000 pounds in the back, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't think about that, but that's a really excellent point. I don't really need 3,500 pounds of lifting capacity in the back of my 4540. I need 3,500 pounds in the front. You know what I mean? So I think that you made a good point when you was talking about that earlier.
Yeah, that's it. I think that everybody kind of should buy their tractor based on what they're actually doing with it.
Yeah.
I'm not a farmer, so I want to lift things in the front. I want to be able to see the things that I lift. So that front end loader lifting capacity was actually the important thing for me.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I told you earlier you're going to get a lot out of this video, and so there's a lot of things to consider about what capacity and what specification you need for your application. Somebody may not need a big heavy tractor. Some may, you know, there's a lot of factors to go into it. We didn't even touch on, you know, the ease of taking the loader on and off. We didn't touch on some other capabilities that are in the tractor itself. But you know, these are things that maybe we'll do another like real world comparison video to see how it is, because there's a lot of things that you have to consider when you're purchasing. Now, and the dealer is a huge.
That's the most important part.
It absolutely is. And I actually did a video on that earlier. Hey, as always, there's going to be this little white circle pop up over here behind Brandle's head and behind that coyote hat. So, you know, you click on that to subscribe. Also a little box of videos that you can click on underneath it to go watch more videos here at Hamiltonville Farm. But you can also watch videos on Brandle's new channel. What's your channel?
So it's going to be TTWM, Tinker Tractor Welder Mechanic, where we don't know what we're doing, but we try to do the best we can.
That's right. So I'm really looking forward to seeing his channel grow, so make sure you go check him out as well. Hey, listen, we appreciate you. As always, you guys take care. We'll see you on the next one.